There's a man out there, and maybe it's you, who always plays by the rules. He shows up on time, he's respectful, he helps others. And yet, he's overlooked, underpaid, replaced, forgotten. Ask yourself, why is it that those who do everything right end up last? Why do manipulators, liars, and ruthless operators rise, while the good ones beg for scraps? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Being good isn't the same as being strong, and in the real world, strength is what gets rewarded. You were told from childhood, be nice, be fair, be honest, and good things will come to you. But what they didn't tell you is that the world doesn't run on goodness. It runs on power, strategy, and perception. This is the first trap, confusing moral value with strategic value. Being good is often a disguise, a mask, and the more you cling to it, the more predictable and disposable you become. Look around. In corporate hierarchies, the agreeable worker is useful, until he becomes a threat. In relationships, the overly nice man is adored, until he's discarded. In politics, the moral idealist is praised, until he's crushed by those who understand the game. You've been taught to seek approval, but power doesn't come from being liked. It comes from being necessary, from being dangerous in the right way. Here's the brutal formula: respect, competence, plus willingness to act ruthlessly, if needed. Without that second part, your goodness becomes your weakness. Let's ask the deeper question. Who benefits from you being good? The answer isn't you. It's the system, the people above you, the manipulators who need tools, not rivals. You've been programmed to obey moral codes that don't apply to your enemies, and the result? You lose with honor, while they win with deception. Think of war. Does the enemy care if you followed the rules? Think of business. Does the market care if your intentions were pure? No. The world is not a moral judge, it's an arena, and the scoreboard only reflects what works, not what was fair. This is where the Machiavellian mindset begins. Not with evil, not with cruelty, but with clarity. A man must see the world not as he wishes it to be, but as it is. If you're still trying to be good, you're still trying to win a rigged game using broken rules. And in this game, the good man isn't the hero, he's the victim. You were taught that morality sets you free, that it's the foundation of a good life, a just society, and a meaningful existence. But here's the question no one wants you to ask. Who wrote those rules? And why? Because morality, as it's taught to you, isn't neutral. It's not some divine truth floating in the ether. It's a system, a technology. And like every system, it serves someone's interests. So let's cut through the illusion. Morality, in its modern form, is a tool of control. It was designed not to empower the strong, but to restrain them. The powerful don't play by the moral rules they enforce. They create moral narratives to regulate the ambitions of others, especially those rising from below. Look at history. Every empire, every church, every institution has used moral commandments to shape behavior, not for the sake of virtue, but for the sake of order and dominance. The promise of paradise is the leash around the neck of the obedient. You were told to turn the other cheek. Why? Because that keeps you from fighting back. You were told to be humble. Why? Because that keeps you from becoming a threat. You were told that desire, aggression, ambition are sins. Why? Because they make you dangerous, hard to manage, hard to manipulate. Moral obedience creates predictability, and predictability is the prey's condition, not the predator's. Think of the modern workplace. You're told to be a team player, to never challenge authority, to sacrifice for the greater good. But who defines this greater good? It's always someone above you, someone who profits from your compliance. The same happens in relationships. Good men are told to be emotionally available, to always give, to never dominate. But ask yourself, do these qualities actually earn you respect or pity? Do they make you magnetic or disposable? Real power doesn't flow from moral alignment. It flows from strategic alignment with reality. Here's the Machiavellian truth. Men ought either to be well treated or crushed because they can avenge themselves of lighter injuries. Of more serious ones they cannot. Machiavelli. In other words, if you must choose, don't be partially ruthless. Be decisive. Be total. Morality says, be fair. Reality says, be final. This doesn't mean abandoning all ethics. It means choosing your ethics, owning them. Not the ones fed to you by systems that benefit from your weakness. You can be just, you can be disciplined, but you must never be predictable and never let guilt override strategy. So the next time you feel the urge to do the right thing, ask yourself, right for whom? Is it right for your mission, your survival, your legacy? Or is it just convenient for someone else? Power doesn't come through patience. It doesn't fall into your lap because you were kind. And it sure as hell doesn't come to those who wait. Power is seized, taken, often from the hands of someone who thought their goodness would protect them. Look around. The men at the top, in politics, business, war, didn't get there by being agreeable. They got there by being ruthless when needed, and strategic always. This is where the modern man fails. He thinks power is granted like a scholarship, that if he works hard enough, stays polite, avoids conflict, someone will notice and reward him. But power doesn't reward virtue, it rewards virtù. Machiavelli's definition of manly excellence: boldness, calculation, timing, the will to act when others hesitate. Fortune favors the bold, but virtù makes the bold effective. Let's be brutally clear. The system is not looking for another good man. It's looking for tools, obedient workers, compliant voters, emotional dependents. If you want power, real power, you must stop waiting for permission. You must be willing to disrupt, to offend, to confront, because power is never peacefully transferred. It is always taken by those who stop asking for it. Think of Julius Caesar. He didn't wait for the Senate's approval. He crossed the Rubicon. It was an act of war, but it was also an act of clarity. He understood something simple. No one gives you the crown. You take it, or you serve forever. This applies at every level of life. In your job, are you rising because you're effective or because you're safe? In your relationship, are you respected because you lead or tolerated because you comply? In your mind, are you playing to win or playing not to lose? There's a moment every man faces when he realizes that being good has become his excuse for being weak, and in that moment, he either breaks or he changes. This is where the bold rise. They stop filtering their actions through social approval. They stop outsourcing their self-worth, and they start moving with intent. Power isn't evil, but it's dangerous, and only those who stop being afraid of danger ever taste real power. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. So you must be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. Machiavelli. Be both. Clever, dangerous, effective, not good, not safe, not waiting. Because in the arena of power, only the bold survive. They tell you to be yourself, to speak your truth, to be authentic. But here's the cold reality. Authenticity doesn't win games. Appearance does. In the world of power, perception is king. It doesn't matter who you are. It matters who they think you are. The man who shows all his cards in the name of honesty loses. The man who reveals his weaknesses in the name of transparency bleeds. The man who believes essence will speak louder than appearance vanishes. This is the fatal mistake of the modern good man. He thinks people care about his intentions. They don't. They care about outcomes, symbols, and signals of strength. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. Machiavelli. In the jungle, the animal that looks dangerous avoids fights, even if it's not. In politics, the leader who looks decisive commands loyalty, even if he doubts inside. In business, the man who looks unshakable attracts capital, even if he's bleeding behind the scenes. Why? Because people respond to confidence, not truth, to power, not purity. If you walk into a room and project dominance, they listen. If you walk in looking for validation, they smell blood. Here's a brutal truth. Authenticity is only useful after you've won. Before that, it's a liability. You must learn to craft your image, not out of deceit, but out of necessity. Because the world you operate in isn't built to reward your soul. It's built to respond to signals, power signals, status signals, command presence. You want respect? Then project certainty, even when you doubt. You want influence? Then appear competent even while you're learning. You want loyalty? Then look dangerous enough to be worth following. This is not about faking. It's about mastering your optics, your aura. You must become strategically authentic. Show only what serves your goal. Hide what makes you predictable. There's a reason kings wear crowns, generals wear medals, CEOs wear suits. Symbols are shortcuts to authority. And in a fast-moving world, no one reads your soul. They read your presence. The naive man believes the truth is enough. The strategist knows the truth needs armor. So stop treating authenticity like a virtue. Start treating it like a weapon, sharp, controlled, and only drawn when it serves your mission. Because in this world, being authentic won't protect you, but being perceived as powerful just might. Goodness is not protection. In the game of power, it's a role, a costume, a utility, and those who insist on playing the good man, the helpful, loyal, selfless one, are the first to be used. Not respected, not rewarded, used. Here's how it works. You're seen as safe. That means they can lean on you when it's convenient, blame you when things go wrong, and discard you when you're no longer useful. Think about it. The good employee works overtime, covers for others, never says no. Who gets the raise? Not him, but the one who plays office politics better. The good friend always listens, always helps, always sacrifices. Who gets the attention, the loyalty, the protection? Not him, but the one who knows how to command presence. The good man in a relationship is patient, always giving, always forgiving. And yet, he ends up ghosted, replaced, or friend-zoned. Not because he wasn't good enough, but because he wasn't dangerous enough. Here's what they don't teach you. The promise of loyalty is often demanded most by those who plan to betray. Your goodness becomes a tool for others' gain. You become the pawn in someone else's game. Because they know you won't retaliate. You won't resist. You won't fight back. Goodness without boundaries invites exploitation. Compassion without calculation invites manipulation. And the most ironic part? When you finally break, when you finally say no or push back, they act shocked, outraged. But I thought you were one of the good ones. Exactly. They counted on that. You were the shield, the scapegoat, the tool they could use and discard. And the second you stop playing that role, you become the problem. Here's the shift. Stop being the reliable backup. Become the irreplaceable force. Because power doesn't come from being agreeable. It comes from being respected, feared, needed. This doesn't mean being cruel. It means being strategic with your generosity. You help when it serves your mission. You give when it strengthens your position. Never again confuse being good with being weak. Never again let loyalty blind you to leverage. And never again allow your morality to be weaponized against you. Because in the power game, the good man isn't the hero. He's the pawn they sacrifice to protect the king. You were taught to ask, is this the right thing to do? Machiavelli would ask, does it work? That's the shift. From moral judgment to strategic calculation. From goodness to effectiveness. Because in a world ruled by power, morality isn't the compass. Results are. Here's the truth most people never accept. You can be moral and ineffective, and you will lose. But you can be effective without being moral, and you will win. A man who wishes to act entirely up to his professions of virtue soon meets with what destroys him among so much that is evil. Machiavelli. In other words, If you try to be purely good in an impure world, you'll be destroyed. Because the world is not built to reward your virtue. It's built to test your capacity. Capacity to lead, to dominate, to protect, to destroy when needed, and to do so without hesitation. Now, this isn't about abandoning all principles. It's about choosing which principles serve your mission and discarding those that weaken it. Effectiveness doesn't ask, "Is it good?" It asks, "Will it work?" And better yet, will it last? Morality is concerned with how you feel about your actions. Effectiveness is concerned with how the world reacts to your actions. Let's take an example. You run a company. A competitor is trying to destroy your brand through lies. The moral man waits, hopes for justice, plays nice. The effective man counters, outmaneuvers, and publicly humiliates the enemy, ending the threat. Who wins? Who survives? Who commands respect when the dust settles? Effectiveness is the only virtue that guarantees survival. This is the Machiavellian shift. You stop playing for approval. You start playing for impact. This means making hard decisions. It means learning to move in silence. It means acting with cold clarity, not emotional hope. Because the world doesn't care that your intentions were good. It cares that you delivered, that you built, that you conquered, that you outlasted the others. The goal is not to be seen as a good man. The goal is to be known as a man who gets things done. So if your morality is keeping you small, silent, and stuck, cut it. Not because you're becoming evil, but because you're becoming dangerous. And in this world, dangerous men shape history. Good men just get remembered in someone else's story. You think the world is fair? That if you play clean, stay humble, and do what's right, you'll be rewarded? Look around. Is that how it works? The harsh truth is simple. The system doesn't reward intentions. It rewards outcomes. You can be the nicest man in the room, the most honest, the most ethical, and still lose to someone who's simply more effective. Because when the scoreboard matters, in business, politics, war, no one asks how you played. They only care if you won. This is why mediocre men with strong optics and sharp strategy rise, while talented men clinging to moral purity stay stuck. Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see a thing, but few can understand it. Machiavelli translation. People see your image. They feel your impact. They don't care about your motives. Let's get concrete. In a company, the man who hits targets, even if he's aggressive, gets promoted. In politics, the one who dominates media and controls narrative wins, not the honest idealist. In relationships, the man who holds frame, maintains mystery, and sets boundaries gets loyalty, not the one who sacrifices endlessly to be good. So ask yourself, are you obsessed with being seen as good, or with being undeniably effective? Because here's what winners understand. Reputation is built on results, not apologies, not excuses, not virtue signals. The system is indifferent to your suffering. It's not waiting to pat you on the back for trying your best. It's built to sort by value, and that value is measured in what you deliver. You want freedom? Produce results. You want influence? Solve problems others can't. You want respect? Get things done, and make sure everyone knows it. This doesn't mean you must lie, cheat, or harm. It means you must stop expecting your goodness to carry you. Because if your strategy is, I'm a good person, someone will notice. You've already lost. Let others cling to their moral purity. You'll master the game. And in the end, the world won't remember how gentle you were. It will remember what you built, what you led, what you conquered. Here's the turning point. If being nice hasn't earned you respect, status, or results, it's time to reinvent who you are. Not from weakness, from power. Because in this world, the man who is liked is disposable. The man who is respected and/or feared becomes essential. Let's be clear, this isn't about becoming cruel. It's about becoming untouchable. You must shift from being the man who seeks comfort to the man who projects command. That begins with your persona, the external image you control. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few understand what you really are. Machiavelli. If you want to win in a world driven by optics, you must craft a new face to the world. A strategist. A man who speaks little, moves precisely, and radiates strength. Here's how it starts. 1. Cut weak language. No more, I just think, or maybe I'm wrong, but speak like a man who expects to be obeyed, not heard. Command, don't ask. Lead, don't suggest. 2. Kill predictability. Stop being emotionally available 24/7. Stop explaining yourself. Mystery creates tension, and tension commands attention. 3. Set boundaries, like a warlord. Good men apologize for having standards. Strategists enforce them, without emotion, without hesitation. 4. Project competence. Relentlessly. Your presence must say, I don't need your approval. I produce results. People follow outcomes, not intentions. 5. Develop selective ruthlessness. You don't need to crush everyone, but when someone crosses the line, you make it unforgettable. One public act of cold precision is worth more than 1,000 warnings. This is how you become feared, not out of malice, but out of power. The feared strategist is not loud, he's not angry, he's calm, calculated, surgical, because he knows that in a world of chaos, cold clarity is king. And here's the final truth. You don't need to be loved. You don't even need to be liked. You need to be impossible to ignore. The nice guy fades into the background. The strategist becomes the center of gravity. You choose. You've seen the cost of being good. Now it's time to replace that identity with something stronger, colder, and untouchable. Here are 5 laws to escape the moral cage and start playing to win. Law 1. Stop apologizing for your power. Every time you downplay your strength to make others comfortable, you tell the world, I'm afraid to lead. Power is not something to hide, it's something to harden. Don't apologize for being ambitious, don't shrink because others feel insecure. Be the man they adjust to. Law 2. Control perception. Ruthlessly. Your reputation is your armor and your weapon. If you don't shape how people see you, someone else will. Appear confident even in doubt. Appear dangerous even when peaceful. Never let them see your weakness unless it's a trap. Remember, the illusion of strength prevents attacks. The display of weakness invites them. Law 3. Value loyalty, expect betrayal. Don't chase loyalty, test for it. And never assume it's permanent. Good men give loyalty freely and suffer for it. Strategic men reward it and always verify it. Build alliances, yes, but sleep with one eye open. Every kingdom falls from within. Law 4. Judge by outcomes, not ideals. Ask yourself, did it work? Did it produce leverage? Did it move you forward? If not, no matter how right it felt, it was the wrong move. The world honors results. Anything else is decoration. Law 5. Choose respect over love. Every time love fades, admiration changes, but respect anchors power. The man who is respected can command silence with a look. The man who is merely loved begs for permission. Be firm, be feared when necessary. Be respected even if it costs temporary affection. It is much safer to be feared than loved, when one of the two must be lacking. Machiavelli. You want to dominate? Then stop looking for moral approval, start engineering results. Because in the jungle of power, the moral man prays for fairness. The strategic man sharpens his blade. Choose your side. You've been lied to. Taught that goodness would protect you. That kindness would raise you. That virtue alone would make you powerful. But look around. Are the winners the most moral men, or the most ruthless, calculated, and unshakably effective? Here's the truth you can't afford to ignore. No one's coming to save you. No one's handing you power. No one respects a man who only tries to be good. The world respects what works, and it remembers those who delivered, not those who hoped. So I'll ask you one final time. Do you want to be liked or respected? Do you want to be harmless or formidable? Do you want to be good or do you want to win? You choose. But understand this: the ends justify the means, if you want to stay in the game. Machiavelli. If you're ready to abandon the comfort of moral illusion and step into the brutal clarity of strategy, power, and execution, then this is your moment. Because from now on, you're not playing to be a good man. You're playing to be an effective one. And in a world that only respects results, that's the only kind of man that matters. Now I want to hear from you. Do you still believe being good is enough? Or are you ready to play a different game? Comment below. Subscribe for the next chapter in your strategic evolution. And remember, in the next video, we'll dive deeper into how to make yourself feared without ever raising your voice. The age of the nice guy is over. It's time to become dangerous.